Welcome, everybody. This is Samara Grace Daniels, and this is the Mother Mary monthly message for 2/2/2022, February of 2022. Hard to imagine that we're here. So welcome, everyone. Today is going to be an interesting look into both the past and the present and the future. Because part of what Mother Mary was saying is that in order for us to partner, all of these twos, right, for today are about partnership and who are we partnering with and how are we showing up and who can be a good partner and who's maybe not a good partner and can we fix that in the times ahead. So she gave me some suggestions. So the overall topic is about how to be sovereign in the world, how to be sovereign, your own soul, your own integrity, your own choices, your own happiness, your own joy, without having to be in a cave in the Himalayas somewhere, like being in the world, but still with yourself in a beautiful and powerful and wonderful way. And so she gave me what she does sometimes with me, because I'm kind of a visual learner. She gave me a 1, 2, 3. How to be sovereign, because I was struggling a little bit. I have dealt with different friends who have passed over this year. I have had my own issues with life and what's going on with life. And I've also just tried to be as peaceful as I possibly can be. And so it's a lot to manage. I sometimes think I'm juggling being in the world and then just wanting to, pull the covers over my head and forget about it. So what she gave me, and you can take notes if you want. She's always funny. She's always saying, write this down, write this down, write this down. How to be sovereign. She said, number 1, communion. And I don't think she was talking about the Catholic version of community where you have to have, wine and bread or crackers of some kind. She said the first part of being sovereign is communion with your spirit and with the essence of God, heaven, angels, however you relate, Atman, Buddha. So connecting yourself with spirit, with God, with the angels. And in that communion, to really allow yourself to feel that connection. So it isn't the same as praying. Praying is great. Communion is like really allowing the feeling of spirit and the angels to be with you, to calm you, to love you, to surround you, to just cherish you. And then once you've sort of got that going on, she said, number 2 is diffusion. I'm thinking, diffusion, that sounds like chemistry. I don't know what you mean by diffusion. And what she was showing me is that means taking it all the way into the body. And so lately I've been kind of just doing a little bit of practice, thank you for the energy as it comes into my crown chakra. Thank you as it comes into my third eye and my throat and my heart and my body. Thank you as you come into my blood, as my different organs, whatever is coming on. So it's the diffusion of the spiritual connection into the body. And that can take a minute, it can take 10 minutes. It's kind of whatever you've got. And in that process, to realize sometimes, and this is the part that I will digress for a moment before we get to number 3. Sometimes there's a part of us that feels almost like a frozen or concrete statue, some part of us. So the energy is coming down and we're feeling it, we're feeling happy and good, but there's some part of us where it doesn't seem to go all the way in. And what she was telling me about this, it's like there's a tributary or a capillary or a part of us that didn't get nurtured, oftentimes as a child, and perhaps even later on in life. And that this part needs special attention. And again, you may or may not remember something that happened in childhood. Maybe you got slapped, maybe you got slapped on the bottom, maybe you weren't able to go out, you had to go sit in your room or something. But if there's a part of your body that is feeling less than alive, less than vital, less than vibrant, that's the part of your body that diffusion needs to spend a little extra time on. And when you're doing that, sometimes it's helpful, those of you that use essential oils or that use Reiki or that use different energy modalities, if you sense like it's in your knee, then you actually can take some time and put your essential oils or put your massage oil or just give Reiki to, let's say, your knee. And in that process, what starts to happen is that the person you are today and the connection that you have today can allow whatever that woundedness might have been in your childhood or earlier in your life to no longer not feel seen and heard and felt in you. Because to be sovereign, from everything that she's been talking to me about, and I'm sure many of you have been reading about sovereignty, it requires us to be in our body in a lovely, vibrant, vital way. And so to be sovereign really is to go back into the body with spirit and with your own intention and choice and bring that healing energy throughout your body. So again, number one, for those of you that have just joined, was communion, connecting with spirit. Number two was diffusion, allowing that to really go through your body and into every portion of your body. And I know it's true of women. I imagine it's sometimes true of men as well, that we have certain body parts that we are not as happy with as other body parts. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But what you might find is that you really want to spend some extra love in what you may have criticized at other points in your life. Because the idea is really to love every single cell of your body. Because without that, again, what we're doing is we're only, showing up 80% or 85%, not 100%. So we've done the communion, we've done the diffusion. And then what was interesting is she said, number three is expression. Now, expression can take many, many different forms. I live alone. And so what I've been doing recently is combining dancing or walking with chanting and sometimes with journaling or writing or even singing. Because what Mother Mary was showing me is that the body requires motion of some kind to really integrate the communion and the diffusion. So although many people enjoy sitting meditation, and again, I'm not trying to badmouth anything, what was indicated to me is that in order to really be in the world as ourselves, as sovereign beings, movement is essential. And so I've been adding that into pretty much every day. And it's honestly made such a difference that if I don't do it, by mid-afternoon, it's like, oh my God, I got to go take a walk or something, because it's like my body is now really resonating with this three-part process to allow myself to be strong and vibrant and sovereign while I'm in this world, which is going through so much challenge and difficulty. So if it resonates with you, I just invite you to try 1, 2, 3 to help strengthen your own sovereignty and your own, I guess I want to say your own power of how you're choosing to be in the world as a beautiful individual soul, but who also wants to be loved in the world, accomplished in the world, sharing in the world, and again, in whatever ways feel right to you. And when I thought about sovereignty, I really felt in myself, it's sourced from within, but without that connection to spirit, at least for me, it doesn't work. And I think about, people who have a lot of power in the world, but who are not connected to spirit. My sense is that sometimes they abuse that power because it's not the power of love. It's just sometimes raw power. So I just want to talk about that with you in just a moment, and realizing this cusp that we're on in 2022, and at least my understanding is we're looking at about 3 years of adjustment. So we came out of whatever you want to talk about for the first 20 years of 2000 into this cauldron of challenge where people are arguing about pretty much everything. And I don't want to talk about any of that. I don't want to talk about politics or healthcare or anything. It's like, but you can recognize that there is a lack of grounding and a lack of clarity, and certainly a lack of consensus about what the heck's going on and what do we want anyway. And so my guidance has been, and Mother Mary's guidance has been, and I'm going to bring her in just a moment, but it was easier to talk about in this way with you. What she's talked about is that when we're sovereign, so therefore we've done communion, we've connected with source, right? We've allowed it to really be in our body and not say, oh, my hips are too big, or, you know, I wish my smile was different or whatever, but really just love ourselves. And then we've moved our body in some way that allows all of that to just kind of, you know, be activated. Then our next aspect is, how do we want to show up for others? And how do we want to interact with others? Not in argument, not in bullying, not in whatever, but in creation. And so that's the part Mother Mary is going to talk about in just a moment, is that aspect of creation. But before we go there, we'll do a little experiment. So just take a moment and imagine the power of your love and the power of God right now being united. Whatever you see, however you see that, God, Buddha, Atman, whatever, just feel that power of God coming into you right here, right now. And to the best of your choice and ability, allow that to just move through you and your body. To see yourself as a sacred vessel, not a cauldron, but a cup. And then to see that all of that can now be a chalice, an overflowing chalice in the world. And we'll dance later, but I wanted you to have that as I bring in Mother Mary. So here we go. Well, hello to all my darlings. What I want to say that is, I think, quite important to understand is that school's out. School's out. Many of you have studied, taken classes, taught classes for years and years and years. How many? How many of you have taken classes and studied and taught? And right. School's out. School's out. Take what you know. Take what you know and share it. Not on a soapbox, not in pushing people, not in a chat room where there's argument. No. Put yourself in the place of saying, allow me to be a person who can offer love, compassion, kindness, friendship, wherever I go. And then the opportunities will present themselves. Some of you will teach classes. Some of you will write books. Some of you will simply invite people over for a potluck for dinner. But the reason I'm saying all of that to you is that the time to really allow yourself to have this world change, you must be the change you want to see. You've heard that. You must be the change you want to see. And so, as Samara was just explaining, the first step is you have to be centered. You have to be clear. You have to be at one with yourself and with spirit. Otherwise, you're just, like a ping pong ball running around, bouncing off things. And once you have done that, once you truly are in that place of beauty and oneness, And then you simply ask to be of service, to be a voice of love in the world. All sorts of things will happen for you. And I think that what you're going to begin to see is this idea of partnership requires first your own partnership with spirit. And spirit, of course, also includes all the beauty of earth, all the animals and the plants and the stones and everything on the earth as well, right? So it's a unification of yourself and God and the earth. And then the next part is a unification of how you want to walk in the world. Who are you in the world? And that's entirely up to you. But if you choose to be a person of love and kindness and offering that, what begins to happen is that your frequency, your vibration, your way of being creates a complementary experience coming to you. Some will be very much like you. Others will want to learn from you. It's just the laws of the universe. And so it's no longer time to keep studying and studying and studying. Take what you know and use it. There's so many easy ways to do that now that you all have all this internet thing going on. You can put it out on a blog, or you can do whatever would be agreeable for you. But it's really it's this opportunity to be you in the world and make a difference. And that partnership will begin to resonate, and people will be called into your circle as you will be called into the circle of others. And from this collaboration, these partnerships, now we will begin to develop new opportunities in work, in education, in healthcare, in all kinds of things. And so that's why I don't want you to waste your time arguing with anyone about what they need to do or what they don't need to do. It's more about saying, here's what's true for me. Here's what's worked for me. And if you're showing up as a shining, beautiful light, there's much more likelihood that they will listen to you and be curious at least about what you're up to versus, oh, this is the only way to do it, and da, 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 da. Okay. So yes, communion, diffusion, expression. From that, now comes collaboration. So that's like step 4. So communion, diffusion, expression, collaboration. So it's beginning to be time to reach out both to those who are in the fields of inquiry and interest that you already have, and those that are adjacent to that. So in other words, Elaine has been working in the aspect of peace for a very long time and has written 3 beautiful books and is about to do lots of things. But she is going to collaborate with Samara to use both of their lights in a way that complements each of them and brings even more people into the circle. Because sometimes if people have been on the peace path for a while, they may or may not have ever heard channeling of Mother Mary, and vice versa. So it's about beginning to do these collaborations and reaching, as I said, to those that are adjacent. Because I'm sure you have found that if you are already sort of attuned to, I don't know, nutrition, right? And then you go to the meat lovers party, it's like, oh, no. And so then argument begins. But perhaps if you're into nutrition, it's time to go to what would be adjacent, which might be ecology. It might be permaculture. It might be something to do with how to raise animals or grow food, right? It's the adjacent aspect. And I'm sure you can see with any logic that if you start to do that, pretty soon the circle gets larger and larger of inclusion, right? but it's done more gently and more easily when you're talking to, first of all, of course, the people you already resonate with, and that's wonderful. But now what is adjacent to that? What is the next circle that would also be complementary to that which I am sharing or teaching? And I think it's so important to look at yourself as kind of a bridge builder architect for these new collaborations. And I was amused to watch in the music field, people like Andre Bocelli, right? Partnering with a lot of different people, right? And singing, and in the process, you know, it's like both of them gained audiences, right? And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, that it isn't only about, oh, I only do rap, or, you know, look at Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg, you know, like, what is that? But it's about finding common ground. It's about realizing whatever I'm doing, I don't want to only be with my people, you know, my group, right? Because then that segments and separates you from many, many others who would be at least curious or somewhat interested in what you want to create and do. So collaboration is going to be the mechanism by which many, many advances will be made in all of these different beautiful fields that really need advancement and need new creations. I'll give you just one more example, which again, you know, I'm just trying to show you it is already happening. So in some places, in the places where they have older people, old folks' homes, where they're lonely and bored and feel useless, they're now starting to bring in kindergartners, right? Or smaller children in some ways, or sometimes, right? And all of a sudden, the little ones have sort of grandma, grandpa, you know, in their lives, and the older ones feel useful again. Because for a long time, everybody's been segregated, right? The older ones, oh, we don't want those noisy children here. Well, after a while, they sort of long for a little bit of noise. So look for where you are already seeing collaboration so that you can begin to realize there are many different ways to collaborate that are beneficial to the various parties involved. And let that be sort of the new energy, because collaboration is not a hierarchy. Collaboration doesn't put power at the top and everybody's a minion beneath. It is absolutely a co-creation. So collaboration is really the way to go. So for today, I have given you on 2/2/2022, really 4 steps, and I'll just review them for the video. So the very first step, and it is absolutely essential, don't do anything until you've done this, is communion. For some of you, that's a walk in nature. For some of you, it's a meditation. For some of you, it's listening to music, or it's communion, that which brings you into oneness with the spiritual, with God, however that is for you. The second is diffusion, allowing that to move through your body in a way that honors every single cell in your body, and of course connects with the earth as well. And the third one is expression. There has not been enough happy, joyous movement, dancing, walking, chanting, whatever. This takes the whole body, the energy of spirit, the energy of your body, and allows it to move in the universe, on the earth, on your path. 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever you've got, essential. Now you are sovereign. You are connected. And so now you begin to look around and say, how do I want to serve? And does that involve any kind of, number 4, collaboration? And then you just reach out and see where that collaboration would be of benefit, recognizing that you want to not only deal with the people that are already in your heart space, but those that are adjacent, those that have interests that would blend and move with yours towards new creations. So that's the 4-step process. And in this year of 2022, and I will be talking at least once a month to all of you, please, please, please realize what's happening out there will not be as disturbing and disruptive for you if you have created your own sovereignty and begun to collaborate and connect with others. It will be a challenging year of storms. Why? Because what used to be is no longer. What used to be on the pedestals is no longer. What used to be true is no longer. A few years ago, I said to Samara, "Welcome to Neverland." And she said, "What?" And I said, "Things that have never been will now be." And although that can be the difficult things, it can also be the new and beauteous and wondrous creations that all of you are capable of and that can be created from the collaborations that we're speaking about. So let this be just a reminder that you are the captain of your ship, this ship, right? And if the seas are stormy, navigate beautifully. And if you need other people, go to a safe harbor where the other ships are tied up and talk to them as well. Because the difficulties are not a punishment. They are simply the outcome of so many decisions in the past. And so it's time to make new decisions for new creations from your heart, from your sovereignty, and from your love. So for the moment, I am going to end the video so that I can talk to all the people that were kind enough to come online. But I promise you, you are safe, you are held with us, and whatever the storm you're in, we are with you. Much love to all of you. And may you have a marvelous time setting sail for the new horizons. Namaste.